Hello everyone and welcome to day 8 of the daily Propulsion Swimming Podcast during the Paris 2024 Olympics. We are very much on the home straight now. This morning we had the final heat session of these Olympic Games. Kind of a sad thing that is almost feels like it's almost over, but we've got plenty of amazing racing to take you through on today's episode, which includes, of course, Leon Marchand going 4 for 4 and some more Brit medals, which is a very promising sign ahead.
Yeah, I suppose that's probably the highlight is the Marchand gold in the 200 IM, and then the second highlight would be the Brits, I respect. So yeah, that's probably the big highlights, and then the finals later tonight are going to blow the doors off, I imagine. So we've got a big episode to go through, actually, some massive races.
So let's start with the first event of day 7 finals for our review portion of this podcast. The men's 50 meters freestyle. We were very, very confident Brits heading into this one, and it comes down to 0.05 of a second that Ben Proud misses the gold, which would seem like we should be disappointed that Ben's just missed the gold given how well he was swimming through the rounds and so far this year. But if you know anything about British swimming, if you know anything about Ben Proud, this is the medal, just full stop, any colour, that is missing from his collection. So to see him finally get on that Olympic podium, a silver medal, man, me and you were joyous. Over the moon.
Yeah, I mean, at the start, when you suddenly see a number 2 next to his name, you think, such a shame. But, I mean, from 10 metres out, we said to each other, he's got a medal. Like, that the first thing that he needed was just win a medal. And really, looking at the times, it was a 2-horse race. Like, they were both miles ahead, really. 0.2 of a second over a 50 is actually quite a substantial margin. I suppose the podium was about right, if I'm honest with you. Like, Cam has been the star swimmer for the last 2 or 3 years. He's definitely been the fastest sprinter. Ben has now got that consistency under his belt. And then Manadou, we got to talk about him. What a showman he put on. Oh, man. Literally, the Iceland clap, he was doing that.
Swimming needs more of this.
Yeah,
Swimming needs more of that before the race. Absolutely embracing the atmosphere. Yes, Leon Marchand before the race is he's acknowledging it, but he didn't go to the lengths that Manadou went. That was... Oh, man. I would have loved to... he is one of my favourite swimmers of all time. I would have loved to be in that stadium and just seeing that experience. He did sneak onto the podium, though, because between 3rd and 8th was less than a 10th. Less than a 10th between 3rd and 8th at Olympic Games. Oh, it's man, mental. That might be one of the closest finals of all time.
Surely it has to be, doesn't it? Less than a 10th between 6 swimmers. That's incredibly close, and you can't get closer than that, surely. No. But yeah, 4 podiums in a row for Manadou. I don't know if he's retiring. I don't know if this is the end for him. I'm not quite sure. But if he were to go for another one, go 5, that's groundbreaking sort of stuff, then, isn't it? Don't you think?
I think he's already groundbreaking. He's got 4.
Yeah, no, it very much is. Yeah, that's 16 years he's been on the podium for. Yeah. During the Olympics. I know he's missed a couple of worlds here and there, but at the Olympics, where it really matters, he's been on the podium. That's a sensational stat.
Oh man, I was just, I called the podium in this one, but obviously the top 2 I got in the wrong order because I was gonna go in with a bit of British bias. Both of us were. 21-3 in an Olympic Games final is fantastic for Ben Proud.
He's actually said in the interviews that the training that he's done is based on what Cam is now doing, and that's probably the reason why these two are really head and shoulders above everyone else at the moment. Do you know what I really got me as well when I saw Cam's time and it was 21.25, and I thought, do you know what? That's the exact same time as what Ben did at trials, and we both said to each other at the time,
if he swims that wins it.
Well,
okay. So are we going to claim that we called the winning time in a 50-meter freestyle?
Yes, of course we should claim everything we can. But jokes aside, 21.3 for Ben, first Olympic medal. I am just over the moon for him, honestly.
Bouncing. Yeah. Next final of the night was the women's 200 meters backstroke. Of course, this was the Kaylee McEwen and Regan Smith head to head. It was a shame they weren't in the lanes next to each other because I think the times could have been even faster if they were within eyesight of each other. But it was the last 50 of Kaylee McEwen where it just never looked in doubt. As good as Regan Smith looked, and to go a 2:04.2, which is faster than anyone else other than Kaylee McEwen can swim in 200 meters backstroke for the past God knows how many years.
Yep.
It's just not good enough. You just don't beat Kaylee McEwen in backstroke. I'm sorry. She is the best backstroker on the planet right now.
Yeah, it doesn't seem that way. She's backed up her gold medals from Tokyo and done exactly the same in Paris here. Olympic record to go with that as well. She's just too strong. The pacing is just too good. Like she turned second behind Reagan in the final turn, and you just know, we were both saying like, Kaylee's got this. Unfortunately for Reagan, it's just too good for her at the moment. But I suppose is it a surprise medal? Kylie Mass getting the bronze?
No, I don't think
it's
so.
A surprise.
I think Kylie Mass has some incredible pedigree in backstroke, and she
definitely.
will be a little bit like Laszlo Che, like forgotten in this era of backstroke because of Reagan and Kaylee. But she's always been there or thereabouts. I know she podiumed in Tokyo as well.
She did, yeah.
She really attacked this from the gun, like really took it out hard, which is what we've been saying it through this whole Olympic Games. That's really what you have to do if you want to make the podium, is what Christou did in this exact same event in the men's side, and he got on. She somehow held off Phoebe Bacon in the end.
She was coming back, eh?
Yeah, really coming back. For like these three are the three in women's backstroke and have been for a while.
They have been, yeah, and I probably for another Olympic cycle to go. I know Kylie Mass is slightly older than Kaylee McEwen and Reagan Smith.
Yeah, she's 28, so there's still time.
There's still another cycle there. If she's 32, in LA, she could do that. But yeah, it's going to be very difficult to get better than a bronze when you're dealing with those two top girls at the moment. So, but yeah, British standpoint, I actually thought Casey was pretty good. Casey Shanahan turned up.
She really did. Fifth in this final is phenomenal. Yes, she's probably 2 seconds off the top four, but the top four are the top four for a reason. Like this is an outstanding. They are leaps, and we've said this all forever of this podcast. Yeah. Women's two back is just weird. You can be fifth and look incredible, but you're just so far off the podium. She almost hit a new personal best in this. I think she raced it really, really well, and like we were saying in the preview, her final 50 speed has been perfect the whole way through. So she came back in a 32.56.
It's good. Yeah,
it's really good. Yeah. Honey finishing in 7th. There was a lot of attention on that first 15 meters for her, given what happened in the semi-finals, and I just wonder if that took a little bit of a mental toll going into this, because big news outlets published articles about it all over the place. Suddenly you're I don't know, it's like an unfamiliar lead up into a final, which isn't great when it's your first Olympic Games. But still, 7th in the world, first Olympic Games, 2:08.1. She had a really good semi-final swim.
Yep.
The future's bright. The future's really bright. She's over that plateau that she spoke to us on this podcast about.
Yeah, I think she'll take a lot of experience from this and then take it to the next one, hopefully in LA in 4 years' time, and future World Championships as well. I honestly think just because it was a big hoo-ha, like you were saying, in our schools and big outlets saying about the 15 metres or going past 15 metres, it might have taken a mental toll on her.
It was a hard situation to be in.
It was a tough situation. Yeah, I think that's probably the best way to put it. Tough situation. And I think the two Brits probably should take quite a bit from this, actually, especially like you were saying. This is a big final with some big-time swimmers, of some of the best swimmers that have ever lived. So there's a lot to be gained from this, with them both being very young, early 20s still.
Yes, absolutely. Then we had the men's 200 metres individual medley final, and we'll talk about Marchand in a second. I want to bring up Duncan Scott because we're Brits. We'll cover this bit first and keep you guys hanging around if you're not interested in British swimming. Duncan Scott, a 155.3 to back up his silver from Tokyo. I thought this swim was phenomenal.
Yeah, he got it right, didn't he? I mean, he did say in the semi-final he needed to go out quicker. Did that, he fixed it in the final, put himself in a brilliant position on the breaststroke to freestyle turn, and then we both looked at each other thinking, well, he's got the freestyle, so he's guaranteed a medal here. And when you're turning against Wang, who is not a strongest of freestylers, you're thinking, okay, we've got a silver here.
Yeah.
And that becomes...
It was a comfortable silver in my eyes.
It was really.
Which is hugely impressive given the names below him.
Over half a second, and he now becomes Scotland's most decorated Olympian. Yeah, so... big time swim from him, it really was.
He came back in a 27.6. 27.6, which
good.
It's 0.4 faster than Marchand came back on. The only one who got sub 28 was Carson Foster, who went a 27.8. Like you said, as soon as he turned second at that breaststroke to freestyle turn,
you kind of knew.
Honestly, a little bit like Marchand on the gold, it was over.
Yeah, it was.
The silver was done.
Yeah. And actually, because Tom was actually in quite a good place as well, Tom Dean, And with his freestyle that we all know he's very good at, are you kind of thinking, can he now suddenly get onto this podium as well?
I think he's come out literally just before we started recording this podcast. He's come out and said his games is over from now, so he's not doing any of the relays going forward, which is expected. But he also had a virus for the last 2 days of competition. Whether that was COVID, we don't quite know. He's not said that, but he said he was under the weather starting on the blocks for the 2 a.m. So 5th place, 1:56.46 for him. I mean, maybe for him it feels like a little bit of a missed opportunity, because Wang Shun's time of a 1:56 flat isn't blowing the doors off.
You could see it that way. Wang was a little bit off his best based on what he did in Tokyo, and Carson Foster was definitely off his best. I wouldn't say he had the best Olympics. I know he got bronze in the 400. He didn't have the best Olympics, though.
No.
Like going in, I thought he was not guaranteed, but a very strong possibility of winning silvers in both IMs. Not to be, unfortunately, for him. So, yeah, could you see it as a missed opportunity for Tom? It's just unfortunate that he got a virus. It's just you could say the same for Adam, I suppose, with him getting COVID, and Lanny Panister as well for Australia. Just one of those things, I guess.
Maybe missed opportunity is too strong, because you can't ask questions of something that's out of your control.
No, and he did exactly what he was supposed to do, if I'm honest. There or thereabouts on PB, I believe, for 1:56.4 is actually good going for him.
Okay, let's talk Leon then, because all of the talk, some of the talk pre-Olympics was he could get this Ryan Lochte world record of going sub 1:54, which sounded bonkers. Hands up, I stand corrected. This is going in Singapore. This world record is going. He went a 1:54.06, and he just didn't quite have the last 5 meters of the freestyle, because he would have crushed it otherwise.
Yeah, well, that was just on the touch. You know what it's like in this Olympics. It's all down to the touch at the moment, and it's just on the other side of that touch, I guess.
Amazing.
Yeah, honestly, all of it was amazing. The backstroke underwater phase, sensational.
That was what
took out the field.
We said after that fly to back turn, his underwaters to 15 there, race is won. Race was over at that point. A bit like what Phelps used to do in 2-3.
Yeah, very much so, yeah.
Race was done.
The race was done because obviously you lead into the breaststroker, and there's no better breaststrokers in that field than Marchand, so he's going to be there. I know the freestyle isn't as strong as your other, like Tom and Duncan, like we were saying, but by that point he's a body length ahead. Far too much distance to try and gain for Duncan to try and close the gap, and he's won that by well over a second. A second.
I know.
Well,
on a world-class field.
Yeah, on a world-class field. And he's done it again. So he's both in the races that he's done, apart from the 400 IM at the first day or second day, he's beaten every Olympic champion to win the gold.
And Olympic records in every single race.
I mean, he's a special kind of swimmer, isn't he? Second fastest ever behind Lochte, like you were saying. And is that world record going? I suppose you're going to have to say yes. When? Who knows? But it's going, isn't it? At some point.
Singapore. I put money on it now. Singapore.
Yeah. I mean, he's very good. He can swim quite well.
I mean, we've got a video literally in the works as we're recording this podcast. It'll be out on the main channel, so head over there if you want to see it, which is talking about, was this the perfect Olympic Games for him? Could he, or does it compare to Phelps and Phelps's 8 goals in Beijing? And they're two very different scenarios, but there's like an added layer to what Marchand's pressure was like heading into this, and home crowd and all of that sort of stuff. Did you see the scenes at the athletics for this? Have you seen the video of it?
I haven't actually, no. You have to explain.
So if anyone hasn't seen this, the athletics which is taking place at the same time as this final session, it was the first night over at the Stade de France, which is like an 80,000 seater stadium to watch athletics. It's kind of a bit irritating because we're watching on Discovery Plus and there's no studio setup this time because it's been transferred over to the athletics. Yeah. So this was nice that swimming got one back on athletics, that the racing for, I believe it was the 400 meters running in the decathlon for the men, had to be stopped. They couldn't start a race because every French person in that crowd was on their phone watching Leon Marchand's 200 meters IM, cheering, shouting, hollering. No one in the stadium who wasn't watching it could understand what was going on. Even the announcing team on the athletics, I know they didn't have a clue what was happening. So swimming stops the athletics. Swimming is better than athletics, people.
Oh, let's leave it like that. Yeah, what a fantastic way to end that speech there.
Okay, that's day 7, finals reviewed. What a fantastic night of racing. 3
very good,
very quick finals. I found it really hard them being straight back to back. Like, I couldn't digest any of the results before the next one had happened.
Yeah, I like the idea of doing like a final, then a semi, then a final, then a semi,
just breaks
then
it
end
up
with a final.
little
Yeah,
bit. Gives you a chance to breathe.
Yeah.
But hey ho, we've got 2 more silvers on the board. The Brits are now at 5, which we said going into these Olympic Games was your baseline. That is where you need to hit. Anything kind of above that was a bonus. We set the bonus at 8 to 10. I believe, I think 6, maybe 7 is the best shot now.
It's going to be tough. I think the relays are, like we saw the heats this morning, the relays are going to be quite hard.
Really
there
hard.
are some very deep teams. We'll get to that later on, obviously. But I think 5, maybe 6 is where we're going to be at, I think. And of course, been unlucky with some fourths, of course.
And we'll have a full podcast reviewing sort of British performance, where this stands, British swimming, or aquatics, GB, after these Olympic Games. We'll have that coming out so we can fully dive into that for those who want to.
Yep.
But for now, let's start with Day 8 finals preview, of which there are 4 belters to get your head into. And we'll start with the 100 meters butterfly. 51.0 makes it. Dressel out.
Yes.
His program over the last few days has been busy. They raced him in the heats of the mixed medley for some stupid reason, as well as the 50 meters freestyle. Of course, which he didn't. Well, he just lost out on the touch of hitting that podium in that event.
That's just the way it is. Yep.
Didn't then back it up in the 100 meters butterfly later on in the session. That one's a surprise. Everyone else in this final still holding face, I would say.
Yeah, it's lost a little bit of sparkle for me just because Dressel's out. If Dressel were in this final, it would be what it still is. It's a massive, massive race. I suppose Dressel, he came out to the blocks both for the 53 and the 100 fly course, kind of skipping to the block. I've never seen him ever do that before. Whether he was maybe too relaxed, I don't know. That's another discussion to be had, I guess. But
I'm happy to see him relax. Let's put it that.
Oh, yeah, no, I definitely. Ultimately, unfortunately, he is out of the 100 fly final. But I suppose who's going in fastest? It's Milak still, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, the question I had, and I still can't really work it out, whether he actually tightened up or eased off. And I don't know the answer. So we'll find out.
I think his finish in the semi-finals was trash.
Yeah.
It was appalling.
Maybe if he nailed that finish, then it would have been roughly the same sort of time as what he did in the heats. So
yeah,
maybe
he certainly took it out hard, actually, looking at it. So what did he split?
23, wasn't it?
23-2.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's taken this out pretty hard for him. At 50, he's gone out at 23-2, whereas... Like, you compare it to what Grosset went out in, who is like the 50 specialist and going up, and he took it out at 23-1.
Yeah.
So maybe he did tie up slightly, and maybe he just needs to ease off slightly heading into the final in that first 50 meters. But
I think he's trusting himself, because he's a 200 fly swimmer, so he's going to have something at the back end, usually. So he's testing himself. He's getting himself out there with your Grossets, so the ones who are going to go out fast, and then hopefully holding on, which he did look like he was doing in the heats. And maybe the time of 50.38 just then is just because the finish wasn't great. So maybe that's the sort of limit that he has at the moment with a 50.1. Is that good enough for a podium or a gold? I don't know.
Well, at some point we're going to have to predict this podium, and we haven't even talked about like Josh Liendo going a 50.4, and he came back in a 26.6, which is rapid.
Yeah, that's good.
Ponti went a 50.6 and came back in a 26.6. So there are swimmers coming back if they're not the ones taking it out fast.
I don't know about you, but I thought these semi-finals were a little bit slower than I expected. I don't know if because the heats were so good that it just made me overthink it too much. Like, they're going to have to go 50.5 to go. When actually a 51.0 made it, which is a lot slower than I thought it would be based on heat swims. Yeah, predicting a podium, is going to be tough because they're all basically the same. You're 50-point mid, really.
We've got to do it, though.
Yeah, we're going to have to try. God, we're going to have to try. Yeah. Does it make it easier now that Dressel's out? Is that easier, or is it still just as hard? Honestly,
no, it's even more confusing now.
Yeah.
I kind of love Grosset in this home crowd, and he pulled out of the 50. So
he did pull out the 53, which was surprising. I'm really quite shocked that he did that.
But he didn't come back as fast as Josh Liendo did. Although closing speed hasn't worked at these Olympic Games. I think I'm going to go Milak. I'm going to go Milak for gold.
Wow.
I'll go Liendo silver and Grosset the bronze. I think Ponti just misses.
Oh, I think our podiums are going to be all over the place then.
Okay.
See, I said beforehand, before the Olympics happened on a prediction podcast, that Liendo was winning. I was relatively confident with that-ish. I'm going to go with Liendo gold. The back-end speed is looking good, and he can definitely go out faster. Definitely.
Okay.
So I'm going to go for him first. It's Milak that's causing me issues here, because beforehand, he was not on my podium.
50.1.
But he has to be on the podium now, doesn't he? I'm going for Liendo gold. I'm going to go for a Milak silver with a Ponti bronze. Is what I'm going to go for.
Grosset misses your podium.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, our podiums are wild, I suppose.
Don't hold us to these, because like we've said before, in the men's 100 meters freestyle, I highly doubt these are going to be correct.
Yeah. I tell you what, we weren't too far well on the 100 free in the end, were we? But we were never going to get it right.
No. I had a good day yesterday.
You did, yeah.
But don't hold us to any of these. Like, we aren't putting any bets on anything we talk about, so don't you do it either.
Oh, honestly, there's 5, maybe 6 swimmers who could podium easily here. So, yeah. Podium could go anywhere. That's what makes it exciting.
And then we go from that final to the women's 200 meters IM final, which I thought might be slightly faster.
I agree.
To make this final. But most of the big names hit and get through bar one. Katie McEwen makes it on a terrible double in the session where she had the 200 meters backstroke before. So I don't think you can read too much into her times. Mm-hmm. Alex Walsh looks strong though,
yes,
really good. And at this point in time, I think she takes some beating. Like the big 3 that we talked about going into these Olympic Games haven't shown their hand yet in this. Like Kate Douglas through the rounds has just not looked like Kate Douglas right now.
Yeah, and that's the real spanner in the works. I know she's Olympic champion, Alex Walsh. Sorry, not Olympic champion, Olympic silver medalist. Olympic champion's out. Oh, she's out. But Alex Walsh looks extremely good. That 207.4 is... Suddenly you're thinking, how can I have forgotten this swimmer?
I don't think we've
not
forgotten
put it on the podium.
But...
We haven't forgotten about her. It's just the other 3, obviously, times going into the Paris were a bit special, weren't they? Yeah. I predict we'll have to predict the podium in a minute, but we'll go through the swimmers. I think Sydney Pickram looked quite good, but I don't know if that's because the first semi-final made her look good, I guess.
This final, I don't think I've ever seen anything like it. This could have been a B final and an A final. That was
very much so.
Different. No offense to the people in the first of these semi-finals, but that second semi-final was an international final.
Very much so. Yeah, you look at the name and you think, oh my God, just a monster semi-final, and it's obviously going to be even bigger in the final. This is a massive, massive race. Sydney Pickram's breaststroke is looking good, but the freestyle just isn't there.
That was the thing on that first semi-final. The freestyle, the top 3 looked okay. They came through, and then you see the freestyle splits. And Sydney Pickram came home in a 31.5, whereas Alex Walsh came home in a 30.8. Summer McIntosh a 30.6. That is the difference.
Yeah, it's basically a full second, isn't it? It's a huge difference, really, which is why I think Sydney misses it just because of the freestyle at the end. Abby Wood, I thought, looked all right, actually.
Yeah, let's talk about this. We said going into these Olympic Games, to make this final is very, very good going for Abby Wood, and she made it comfortably. She is a world-class swimmer and often really gets overlooked in the Aquatics GB conversations because she's in an event which is as deep as it has ever been. She came 4th at Tokyo in this event, I know, for her. We spoke to her after that 4th place, after the Olympic Games. It was really hard for her to take.
Yep.
Looking at it now, she's had confidence from that, and I think she's right up there as one of the best female swimmers in this country by quite some way. By quite some way,
very much so. Yeah, I mean, you put her in the same bracket as your Freya Colbert kind of level, I think, with the best British swimmers that we have.
Anna,
of course, definitely. There's a few swimmers, obviously. But, Abby is dealing with a special kind of final here. I mean, again, to make the final was amazing.
If she makes this podium, I'll put this out there, this is the swim of Aquatics GB's Games.
I mean, her PB is a little bit off the top swimmers here. Like Alex Walsh went at 2:07. Abby's best time is 2:08.9, I believe, from trials. So she's going to have to find something special. But is she capable? I think so. Yeah, the breaststroke is solid. The freestyle obviously is pretty good. The turns are great. She's just got to get involved in the race, and she's going in 4th fastest, so she's got a decent lane to do it in. But you're dealing with swimmers who are, some of them generational greats already at the age of like 17, something stupid like that, you know. Kaylee McEwen is obviously doing what she's doing. Kate Douglas, there's a few swimmers here who are looking good, and none of them have shown their hand, like you said at the beginning. They're all doing comfortable 2.829, something
so
like that.
what's our podium? Because I had a strong feeling going into this Olympic Games about this race.
Did you?
I've changed it as this meet has gone along, and like Katie McEwen's been unbeatable in the backstroke, just the mentality monster that she is. But I'm going to pick Summer McIntosh for gold.
Okay.
I think she's had the best Olympic Games on the women's side so far. I'm going to pick Summer. I'm going to pick, this is going to be wild, Alex Walsh for silver and Kaylee McEwen for bronze.
Oh, so Kate Douglas misses out.
Look, Alex Walsh has looked the best swimmer going through the rounds, and if you go 2:07.4, that might be enough for a podium.
You very much could be right there. Very much so. I will actually agree with you on the Summer McIntosh take. I think there's a lot left in the tank for her, and I think she'll go a 2:06. I think there's a 2:06 in there. Not a world record, but a 2:06. Sub 2:7 is in the tank for her. She wins gold for me, and this might surprise you here. I think Douglas gets the silver. Alex Walsh gets the bronze. I think Kaylee McEwen
Kaylee's not shown anything in this so far.
Yeah.
I know she has gone a 2:06 and a Commonwealth record earlier on this year. I'm struggling to take confidence in her IM swims.
Yeah,
I take loads from the backstroke. I really do.
Yeah, I'm struggling because the other breaststrokers, I know Summer McIntosh isn't the best breaststroker, but because the other strokes are so good, it doesn't show up as a red flag for me. Douglas is obviously an amazing breaststroker. Alex Walsh is an amazing breaststroker, and I just think they will just get the better of her on the breaststroke leg and hold on the freestyle, and I think Kaylee misses out. I think she gets fourth.
Is this going to change your opinion?
Uh-oh.
I've just looked at the splits. Kaylee McEwen's breaststroke leg in those semi-finals was faster than Alex Walsh, was faster than Summer McIntosh. The only person faster than her was Kate Douglas.
I wonder if that's because she realised how far behind she was after the backstroke leg and had to push the breaststroke a little bit.
Otherwise, she was seventh after the fly.
Yeah. So maybe she's not.
I think she's not starting. Summer went out in a 26.9 on the fly and looked comfortable. Yeah. Kaylee McEwen went out in a 28.1. Yeah,
God blimey, that's a drop, isn't it? I've said it now. I'm gonna have to stick with it. But those splits have scared me a little bit.
Tell you what, I wouldn't be surprised if any of these four win gold.
Oh no, they're all win with a shout. And that's what makes this race extremely exciting. Much like the men's 100 fly, this is why we've labelled these two events as the best events in the Olympic schedule, because the gold could go absolutely anywhere, as can the silver, as can the bronze. Fourth and fifth, they're all much the same, you know. So, yeah, what did I say again? Summer, Alex Walsh.
Summer.
Oh no, Douglas, sorry.
Douglas, Alex Walsh. And I've gone Summer, Alex Walsh, McEwen.
Do you know what? Do you know what? I'm gonna have to admit, am I changing my mind here? Before, I bet against Kaylee McEwen once and it backfired badly. Am I doing it again? I'm gonna do it one more time. I'm gonna go against her one more time. And if she wins this race, I will never bet against her again.
We've heard a lot about her build-up from a few of the Brits who've been over there and heard the sessions, which have been bonkers.
God, I'm thinking in my head, how have I?
I'm really sorry if you're listening to this and wanting to get through this podcast quite quickly. We want to stay credible.
Yeah, I know, that's the thing. Yeah, very difficult. I'm quite set on Summer winning gold. I think you are as well. But the other medals are. Alex Walsh has put a real spanner in the works for me. Because for me going in, she was going to finish fourth, but that 2.74 looked good.
Kate Douglas swam this morning in the medley relay, and her freestyle wasn't blowing the doors off.
It was kind of comfortable, to be fair. They were always going to make the final, weren't they, in that medley?
Do you know what? I'm going to go Summer, Kaylee, Alex Walsh. Oh, no. Do I do Summer, Kaylee, or Kate Douglas? That was logically the podium heading into these games, but Alex Walsh has looked good, and she's had
and that's the problem I'm having. That's the problem I'm having.
Okay, I'm going Summer, Kaylee, Alex Walsh. Man, it feels punchy to put Kaylee that high, given what we've seen so far. I just hope that the double, essentially, she was just warming down.
Kate Douglas looks good. The breaststroke is just very...
The breaststroke is, but when Summer McIntosh has taken it out in a 26 for the fly, you're going to have to chase her down.
I'm not happy with my pick, as you can probably tell. Right, okay. This is it. This is set in stone now. Summer wins the gold. I can't bet against Kaylee. This is absurd. Is this the same result as what you've just said? Kaylee silver and Alex Walsh bronze. Is that what you just said?
That's what I said.
Yeah, I'm now leaning that way. And then Douglas
Are you not putting
out.
Kate Douglas on the podium? Oh my god! I think she's like the third fastest in the world going in.
Yeah.
And she beat Alex Walsh at trials.
Jeez, my opinion is going to change throughout the day and probably as they stand on the block, if I'm honest. But I'm going to have to go with that podium for now.
Okay, we're only having a bit of fun. We aren't obviously that much of an expert.
That was hard, man. That was the really hardest podium ever.
Women's 800 meters freestyle then. Katie Ledecky has a chance to become the most decorated American female Olympian. I believe it is.
I think she's already there, I think.
She might be. She might be a chance to add another to her tally, of which this is going to be her last race of these Olympic Games. Mm-hmm. Can she be challenged? Aussies will comment in the comments section yes. Propulsion Swimming will say no.
Yeah, I think Ledecky is a bit too good. And the way she always does it and has done for decades, basically. Yeah, definitely a decade. She goes out hard on the first 200 and then finds the pace, and then it's too much for the others to catch up because the pace is the pace.
Yeah.
Yeah, she'll win this. I know there's a lot of talk of Titmus challenging, and I just think the pace is a bit too much for Titmus, as it has been over the last many years.
There's Paige Madden as well. There's Lanny Pallister.
She looked good.
Isabella Gosa. I mean, the podium is going to be really hard to call below her. Yeah. But I just think looking at her results elsewhere, like swimming the 200 meters relay, 200 meter free relay, the focus has been distance. It's not been speed. I think it has been endurance.
You saw that in the 15. The 15 looked pretty good, didn't it?
Just thinking how far ahead like her Olympic record and PB is an 8:04, which is
just mental, isn't it? I mean, what on earth? What's that, holding 60.5 on average, roughly? Just mental. Like, how did she do that when no one else is anywhere near?
We were watching the guys in the 1500, some of them struggling to hold that this morning.
Yeah. Well, we won't speak about it on this episode, but Dan Whiffen, man. Very exciting times. But going back to this 800 free, I think Ledecky will be too good, too strong. The pace will be too heavy for the rest of the field. She gets the gold for me. And then the fight for the minor medals. I think Titmus will get on the podium. Don't know which colour, mind you.
I'll go Titmus, and I might say Gosa.
Really? She did look all right in the 15. Where'd she come? Fifth, I think?
No, she came third.
Did she go? Did she get a medal?
Yeah, she came third.
Oh, I missed that. Oh, blimey. Kapinchkanova, the French star. She might be
she's an
outside
lane, mine. She's an outside lane.
She is, but the French crowd, you never know. She got silver in that 15.
I'm glad the French have representatives in finals. They're missing it in the 2 a.m., but that's that
is a shame. So sorry, who's your bronze? Gosa in the end?
Gosa.
I will agree with your Titmus silver. I think she's good enough for a silver, and then I think Lanny Pallister looks all right.
Okay.
I'm going for Pallister bronze there.
Individual finals done. Then we have the mixed 4x1 medley relay, which is incredibly hard to preview simply because we don't know what sort of lineups they're going to do. We don't know the permutations of male, female, female, or male, female, male, female. Who really knows at this point? I think you have to swim a male breaststroker. Chinese were the ones who did it differently and swam a female breaststroker in the heats of theirs, and they came through in third and had Pang Zhang Li at the end. I think it worked. But then Chin Hyang swam a 58.5 in the men's medley relay heats this morning, so I'm pretty sure he'll get the call up for this final. And they will start with Xia Yu and will they? Because Pang Zhang Li's miles ahead of the field.
That's exactly what I was about to bring up. You're stuck in a hard place with China because you have to do Zhu, I think, on the backstroke. He has to be in the team, which means you either drop Chin or Pan. And Chin just did quite a good time this morning.
But then Pang Zhang Li's done what Pang Zhang Li's done right now.
And then Pang Zhang Li's obviously hitting 47s, 46s for fun at the moment. So is it impossible to drop him? If I were China, I would, funnily enough, put the Tang on the breaststroke. That's what I think I would do. Because you can't drop Pan. He's so far ahead of the rest of the world right now. You can't drop him.
So then, elsewhere, you're going to be starting... Right, America... Logic dictates America okay, I'm going to predict relays here, and you're going to tell me if I'm right or wrong.
Oh, boy. Okay.
This is down to you, Dan. If I'm America, I go Regan Smith.
Ooh.
Do I? Yes, because Murphy's not looked good enough. Regan Smith, Nick Fink, Dressel, because his split in this was good. He went a 50.1. And then Tory Husk. I think that's your lineup.
There's a number of swimmers they could put on the freestyle, to be fair. It could be Gretchen, Tory, could be Douglas. There could be quite a few there.
Aussies?
I think...
Oh, go on.
Well, sorry, we'll stick with the Americans. I think you could be right on the Americans. Ryan Murphy did look all right on the 100, mind you. The 200 was not there. But Regan Smith looks like a solid swimmer who will go a sub 58.
It's if you want to put Gretchen Walsh in instead of Regan Smith. It's
a tough one. That's really hard.
It's really hard. I'm not sure.
I don't know if you can put Gretchen in if Tory Huss has just won Olympic gold. And they're cutthroat America. They're I think they go... I agree with your lineup. I think you're right with America.
Australia, they go... Oh. Do you know, if Kaylee's double yesterday didn't look amazing. And if you really wanted to throw a curveball, you could go Molly O'Callaghan. Real curveball.
That is a real curveball. Okay.
Breaststroker, probably Joshua Young, because he swam a 58.9 this morning in the men's medley.
That was quite good. Yeah.
Then Emma McKeon. And then Kyle Chalmers to finish. Like that. That would be wild if you don't think Kaylee can back up a double. If you do, you stick her in.
Ella Ramsey did quite well in the breaststroke as well.
She went at 106. That's not fast
quite
enough.
good
That's
enough,
not fast enough.
I would say.
I think they'll probably do Kaylee, but if suddenly Molly O'Callaghan appears, I really wouldn't be surprised.
The 200 IM is before the 800 free as well, so there is a little bit of
it's a bit more rest than yesterday.
Yeah, so I think they will go with Kaylee McEwen on the backstroke.
Okay.
And then the breaststroke, their female breaststroke's not good enough, as we just said, so Young has to be on the breaststroke. Then the fly's up for grabs. Do you stick McEwen or do you go Matt Temple?
Matt Temple will have just swam the 100 fly. I go McKeon.
And then Chalmers at the end?
I go Chalmers. Yeah, Chalmers against Panzanli at the end. Wow, that'd be fun.
That means you don't have Molly O'Callaghan at the end.
Chalmers relay over O'Callaghan relay for me. Whew. It's wild because finishing with a male freestyler isn't usually the way you win this.
Yeah, usually that's quite risky. But you see what this pool's doing with the breaststrokers right now. Maybe. It's one of those two squads, I think. I think you either have Temple on the fly and then Molly O'Callaghan on a freestyle, or you go McKeon and Chalmers. It'll be one of those two. But I think the front two, for me anyway, that's the way I would pick.
You reckon McKeon?
And then Young. Yeah, I think that's the way they should probably go.
I don't know, Molly O'Callaghan's a 57-point backstroker. Like if you're really worried about McKeon doing the double, that yesterday the double didn't look good.
Yeah.
Who knows?
But tough one.
We will find out.
All of these teams are hard to pick.
The British team is likely in my head. Oh God, you have to go Ollie Morgan at the start, just because I don't think the girls have got the differential to knock him out of that team. Mm-hmm. Ollie Morgan, Adam Peaty, who swam a 59.0 this morning, so he's back from COVID. Mm-hmm. And then you finish with the girls at the end, Kiana and Anna Hopkin. Do we challenge for the podium? I think it's tough to beat the top three. I think it's really, really tough to beat the top three. You hope that some of them, like America did last Olympics, pick a ridiculous lineup that just doesn't work.
Yeah. I mean, they were unlucky with Jacoby losing her goggles, but she still split a 65, to be fair. So she still put in her split. It was Dressel
at the end. There was too much to do.
But you can't put a freestyler at the end, normally.
There's me saying China and Australia will do it.
Yeah, but this games are different because the breaststrokers aren't having as big an effect at all. Actually, they're all exactly like 59.0. They're all exactly the same. So, I mean, from that point of view, then do you drop Adam and put Wilby? Put Ang Harrod in if the breaststrokers aren't really having a big effect?
She did go 65.4 this morning, but then where do you make up the bigger difference? Like Adam to Ang Harrod or Anna to, let's say, Duncan?
Joe. They'll be extremely brave to drop someone like Adam. They won't do that. So I think you're probably right. You go Ollie, Adam, then you go Kiana and Anna. I think that's probably the way they'll go.
And that would be... Do we want to try and predict a podium even though we don't know which way people are going to line up?
Oh, I mean, we can if you want. I think... Oh, my God. I mean, I think the podium is Australia, China, USA.
In
which order? I've got no idea. Just because we have no idea of the teams.
Okay,
that's tough. That's hard.
Okay, we round out day 8 with only one semi-final. The women's 50 metres freestyle, and we'll rattle through this. All of the top swimmers are around your 24 mids. I think 24.7 was the cutoff to make these semi-finals, which Anna Hopkin just about hits. I hope there's more to come because she's looked really good in the relay swims that she's had so far this week. Even the individual 100, she started out really strong. I'm not sure she quite nailed the start in the heats.
That's what I think, yeah.
I think there's more to come. I hope there's a final in her.
Tough final to make, mind you.
It is very tough. I think you're going to have to go a 24 low to make this final. So she's got to knock off 0.4 at the very least from her swim.
She's on PB, basically, yeah.
Melanie Hanique and Simone Manuel miss out.
That's a surprise for me. I thought Manuel might do something, and Hanique is obviously extremely good sprinter, and a French crowd as well. That's unfortunate for them. Yeah, big ones to miss out, definitely.
But shall we hand out the gold already? Like, before the finals even take place? I think we said going into the Olympic Games, no one's beaten Sjöström. We've seen her do a 23.85, which in reality, I don't think anyone else can get near already.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think the gold has already gone. Unless she, barring a huge error, DQ, she messes up her start, whatever it is, no one's getting close to that. I don't think anyone's actually got a PB faster than 23.85 in this field. I'm stand to be correct here.
That's a question.
But yeah, is the world record on is more the question, I suppose. Can she find another 0.2? Or just over 0.2?
Yeah, probably. Like, I've always thought this one might go.
Yeah, I think it's on the cards. Maybe the start, she was a little bit behind because she was right next to Gretchen Walsh.
It makes her look worse, but then she swam away and beat her by half a second.
I mean, the swim speed is quite incredible, isn't it? I mean, we talk about how Adam Peaty's speed on the breaststroke back when he was absolutely firing on his 56 and 57s rage, like stroking away from swimmers, and Sjöström does that on a 50 freestyle. It is honestly, it's something that shouldn't really be done. And a bit like Usain Bolt in the 100, like that shouldn't be done. He's striding away, and Sjöström is exactly the same.
Nice comparison.
I think that the gold has gone already, if I'm honest. Yeah, tough to beat her there.
But to make this final, I reckon 24-4 below.
Yeah, I was going to say 24-3, something along those sort of lines. It's going to be very quick to get in, and Anna's going to have to find a good, or near enough a half second to get in there. She was very close to having a swim off. It was joint 15th in the end for her. Yep. So that was lucky in a way.
Okay, that just about rounds up day 8 of the daily Propulsion Swimming Podcast during the Paris Olympic Games. Thank you so much for everyone who's joined us on this episode or throughout the rest of this week. We've really enjoyed the interactions on the comment section on YouTube. And especially, like, we love seeing that everyone is still coming back to us at this point in what is the longest swimming meet that's ever actually happened. I don't think one's happened at 9 days long before.
9 days. US trials is usually that long as well, but yeah.
We've got one more day to go, and then we'll probably do a quick recap after that as well. So make sure you're subscribed on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and on Spotify. And me and Dan will see you guys in, around about 24 hours, even though we don't have heats to talk about tomorrow.
True. Thank you for listening, everyone, and we'll catch you on the next one.
You've been listening to the Propulsion Swimming Podcast with Scott and Dan. We want to thank you for joining us and invite you to subscribe to the show, as well as checking out the Propulsion Swimming YouTube channel for weekly tutorials and videos to get your swimming fix. We will be back next week. Until then, we'll catch you on the next one.